Well, well, well. What do we have here?
We have a well.
So, this is probably my favorite thing about our house.
Really? The well?
Yeah.
Not the big bonus room, the kitchen, the well.
Well, I need water for life, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So, a little story about the well. Here in North Georgia, they tell you there's water everywhere. It's just a matter of where. And so we were buying raw land, so we knew we were going to need to have well water. And my fear, being a city mouse, or really a suburban mouse, was, I grew up on county water. So I've never had well water. And I didn't want to buy a piece of land and not have water. So we were even going to get a diviner, a well digger that does dowsing rods to see where water is. And the only one that I could find that did that was like far away and just busy. Well diggers are very busy. So we just kind of rolled with it. And the big thing is, though, is we prayed about it. I know I personally prayed for plenty of water on this land and for it to not be deep. Because what do they say? How far is it usually, like around here?
300 to 600
Feet.
feet.
And you have to pay for every foot that they dig. They've got to put piping down there. They've got to, run materials. So, telling me, oh, there's water everywhere, it's just a matter of how deep, that's kind of scary too, in terms of like, I'm the thrifty one. I want to save money. So I prayed and prayed and prayed and talked to a neighbor who's been here for a while, and their well is like 300 or 400 feet deep. So I was expecting that, right? Like, hopefully it's no deeper than that, but let's make it shallower. So we met with the first well company. Michael had to go out of town, so I had to come up here and meet them. And we have 7.5 acres here. So the house is just behind us. How far away is the house from here?
Less than 100 feet.
Okay, less than 100 feet. Over yonder, how far?
200 feet.
Yeah, that's where the original well guy was like, I like this spot. And so just to give you the lay of the land, there was an old road that bisected our property. And so when you came and looked at this property, it was the old road and then trees. There was a small kind of drive cut up so you could walk up to where the ideal home site would be. But that was it. So that's all you could see. So it started raining that day while I was waiting for them to get here. They get here and I hung around down by that road, and they found a spot, and he said, that's what I like. And it seemed like they wanted to get out of the rain. So I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. I wanted to take them up and show them, up here, up on the hill. So when our grader and clearer was here clearing trees, the second well guy came. And he's the guy that does most of the wells in this particular county. They all kind of have their areas. So he came up and he identified the same spot as the first guy. But I heard that voice in my head that said, tell him how much property you have. Show him where the house is going to be. Because I didn't want it to be the fact that we'd have to run so much pipe from all the way down there, all the way up here. So I said, Michael, take him around. I told him, I said, Clark, our property goes all the way around there. He's like, it does? I said, yes, where he's grading, that's where the house is going to be. Oh, so he starts walking around. So I say, Michael, go follow him and show him the lay of the land. That's where you come in.
Yeah, so we walked around, and you can't, I don't know if you can see it off camera, but just to, it would be your right, my left, there's going to be we're calling it the rec barn, my workshop, so on and so forth. So I said, yeah, we're going to put that barn here, and he came right here and says, I really like this spot. So He said, let's put it here. I said, well, you know better than I do. I don't know. That's
And
why
I was
you're here.
watching them, and I swear this guy looked like he was following his nose, because they went all the way up and around.
Yeah, we went quite a few places.
And he kind of led you here, right? He's
Right.
looking at the way the terrain lies and everything.
Right. I don't know how they do it, but they kind of know, I guess from experience, where the water's going to be. So I said, yeah, if you followed this
Kind of ravine.
ravine down, there's actually a spring at the bottom. We have a creek down there. He says, well, I really like this spot. So we chose this spot.
Which is great, because it's so much closer to the house.
Yeah. And he said, I'm going to put you on schedule. So he got us on schedule, I think 2 weeks later. And I knew that they were coming over. I had some early morning work stuff.
He
and
got really busy at work.
So I said, I'm going to come over and take some video of the guy digging the well.
Because we really wanted to get cool B-roll of the well digging machine.
Exactly. And so I get here, pull up, and the guy is over there doing like this, putting his tools away. I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm thinking he's just getting started. He says, well, congratulations, I'm done. And we're talking, this is maybe 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, I'm done. He says, you hit the jackpot, and your wife can now ask where the pool's going to go. I said, what do you mean? So our well, which we were anticipating 300 feet to 600 feet, several $1,000s more than what we paid. Our well is 150 feet, 44 gallons a minute, which is incredible. And we're super psyched about it. And we kind of hit the jackpot for sure.
We sure did. That's our liquid gold right there. We saved a bunch of money. And isn't the apartment where we're staying like 25 gallons a minute?
It is.
And we get pretty good pressure there. So
Yeah.
imagine what that's going to be like here. I did ask him, I heard that poplar trees are, the first guy said poplar trees are a good sign of water. And then I started looking around and I didn't see many poplars and I got worried. And Clark said, yeah, I've heard that, but he didn't like confirm that it was true. But I really think it has something to do with the lay of the land. You know, obviously, like Michael said, he's been doing this his whole life, so he kind of knows instinctually what to look for.
You want to talk a little bit about what well water is versus, we talked about a spring, which we do have on the property, but well water is actually the water table. It's actually the cleanest water on earth, and it's the most plentiful water on earth. There's, I think Clark said there's 10 times more water at the ground table in the world than there is in all the oceans combined. So that's
really,
it's pretty interesting. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that. Google that, fact check it, put it down in the comments. But there's supposedly way more water in the earth, under the ground, under the water table than there is in any of the oceans all combined. So.
yeah, because I asked, I was like, well, you know, we know there's a spring down on the property, and they're like, well, that's groundwater. And I was like, it is? They were like, yeah, like we go like, you know.
Yeah, they bust
down
through
to
the shale into the water table.
Yeah.
And spring water is great, and we actually thought about putting what's called a spring box in there just as supplementary, and we could still do that because it is on our property. But it's you know, it's really clean water. It usually comes out of a mountain, but well water is below that, and it's kind of the Earth's reserve of fresh water.
We scored the jackpot.
Yeah.
So yes, this is one of my favorite things.
Yeah. And just whether you cut this out or not, but you can buy. So a well has to be protected, right? You got to have power, and you may have a pump here. You may have it in your house. I am not an expert on wells. I've wired them up before, so this is kind of new for me even. But they have the big fake rocks you can put on them. And I think what we're going to do here is we're going to pour a little pad, and I'm going to build a little structure so I can put power in here, and maybe, you know, a light fixture and stuff, and insulate it. But
we don't have the pump yet.
we don't have the pump because
This is just like
we're still waiting on temporary power, which we got approved for that last week. So they've got to come out and trench and put in a new transformer. Once that's in, then they can run temporary power over to the well, and we can have well water for pressure washing, for mixing
cement.
muds, and for drywall, and then set for tile and grout. So yeah, it's, you know, you want water on the property. If you can't get to that, you probably have to bring in a water tank or something of that nature when you get to that stage. Hopefully we'll have all that taken care of before we get to that stage. But it's nice to have water and power on the property, which we don't have either right now. So we've been working off generators.
Yeah. So this was super exciting. This was my favorite thing. We saved a lot of money. So prayer and just,
Hiring the right person.
well, hiring the right person and listening to that. Was it, the voice in my head? Was it the Holy Spirit? It was like, tell him how much property you have. Because I didn't want you to get stuck down there when we have lots of other places to check. And so it really helped that clearing had been done, and then Michael could walk them around and show them. So definitely don't be afraid to speak up, especially if you're like the novice like I am, right? Michael's the expert, I'm the
Well,
novice.
on this, I'm the novice too. So
Well, true.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't want anyone to be afraid to speak up or ask questions or say, is that supposed to be like that? Or, hey, maybe you should check there, because if you're thinking it, there's a reason you're thinking it, and you should definitely at least express it and see what kind of an answer you get.
One other thing too, which goes across the board, not just when you're choosing a well contractor but any contractor, it's okay to ask for references. It's okay to ask around about them. We vetted the well people pretty well.
They were both. One was a friend's family, and then the other, well, they were friends' family who recommended both of them. And this one just, it worked out better because of his location to where we are and his timeline and everything, and our timeline.
Yeah, his schedule is a little bit, I think he's got a bigger operation, so he's got a little more time.
The other people were ready to meet with us, but we weren't ready to meet with them. We had to put them off. It was scheduling.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, make sure you vet, especially talking about wells. You really want to vet.
And if you're new to a town, ask around, because at least where we are, there's not like I said, geographically, it's like Clark does this area and this guy does this area. Like the people that I knew, they do wells out in Athens, Georgia, which, I'd love to have them do my well, but they're not going to come all the way here to do our well. So, right. There's just ask around. Usually people are pretty helpful, and they'll tell you who the person in town is. But definitely get references, call references, and yeah.
Yeah. So
you'll be well off.
All right, I think we can end all the puns now. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for staying with us this long, and we really appreciate it, guys.
Be well.
Until next time.